I'm enjoying this right-wing freakout so much, or I guess it's been quite protracted. It's been a while that we've been able to enjoy the Republicans' struggle to adjust to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and J.D. Vance's net favorability sinking like a stone.
And we will give some choice quotes from this New York Times piece that outlines like Donald Trump's in a bad mood about this stuff.
Oh, in a bad mood, so much so that he's apparently yelling at Miriam Adelson, who is the widow of the ultra-Zionist pro-Israel donor Sheldon Adelson.
She is also an ultra-Zionist donor.
And it was reported that
Let's also be clear. She donated $100 million to fund a PAC. And prior to that donation, the reporting was, the ask was, annex the West Bank.
Yep, for me. So
signed, sealed, delivered.
And apparently that's he seemed to acquiesce because she started spending on his behalf. But then the Times reported that he had an aide send a bunch of angry text messages to her about who was staffing this pro-Trump super PAC, which, by the way, is supposed to be illegal under campaign finance law. You're not supposed to be able to coordinate.
My assistant did it on their own. They were freelancing.
Not that it's ever enforced, but super PACs are supposed to be independent expenditures. Regardless, he's freaking out so much that he might actually piss off some of his biggest mega donors because he has no plot. He's both lazy. He's both sick of this, and he just has no plan to defeat her other than she's a black woman, or is she?
It's not fair because I was winning, and now they just did a unfair thing by getting a candidate that they wanted to defeat me. That's not fair. But apropos of this next clip, apparently at an August 2nd fundraiser, this is according to two people, this is from that same Times piece, with knowledge of what took place, when a donor at the roundtable discussion asked about Democrats trying to paint the Republican ticket as, quote, weird, Mr. Trump replied, quote, not about me. They're saying that about JD. And here is JD Vance, who they sent out for the Sunday shows today. It did not go well. Here he is with CNN's Dana Bash.
I want to move on to something that Governor Walz has called you and Donald Trump, and that is weird.
Sure.
And it is taken off. The New York Times reports that when Donald Trump was asked about it, he said, not me, they're talking about JD.
Well, certainly they've levied that charge against me.
Pause it. Hold on 1 second. Can we just go back? I wanted you to hear that quote because I didn't want you to get distracted by the quote. I want you to focus on J.D. Vance's response here. There was, this is full on, like, this is beautiful comedy because you can just see it, the hot poker that pierces through his brain, but it comes out as
I don't take this seriously.
It's just because the guy who picked me is throwing me under the bus in front of donors. That's not a big deal. Go ahead.
Something that Governor Walz has called you and Donald Trump, and that is weird.
Sure.
And it is taken off. The New York Times reports that when Donald Trump was asked about it, he said, not me, they're talking about JD.
Well, certainly they've levied that charge against me more than anybody else, but I think that it drives home how they're trying to distract from their own policy failures. I mean, look, this is fundamentally schoolyard bully stuff. They can accuse me of whatever they want to accuse me of. As Harry S. Truman once said, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And I'm doing this because I think that me being vice president will help improve people's lives. So I accept their attacks, but I think that it is a little bit of projection, Dana, if you think about, just
pause it. I just want to make it clear. That's where you stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where a normal person stops.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's like, okay, I get it. This is campaigning. And if you can't take the heat, this is not beanbag. You get out of the kitchen and...
can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Can't stand being called weird, get away from the sorority.
Yeah. And
get away from the high school.
And there it is. And you walk away from it and you say, they're distracting from our great policies, which, of course, our policies suck. But
change the conversation to something that's on your turf.
But if you're actually weird and not in a good way, not in the way that you own, where it's like, I'm proud they call me weird, because if it's weird to support feeding kids in school, then I'm weird. If it's weird, whatever it is.
No.
If it means, that's what a person who's like not creepy weird does. That's what it's just like, people are.
A unique weird.
Yeah. But if you're creepy weird, you don't stop there. You're like, wait before we move on.
Improve people's lives. So I accept their attacks, but I think that it is a little bit of projection, Dana. If you think about, just take a couple of days ago, Tim Walz gives this big speech. He's been announced as the VP nominee. And I remember when I had just been announced as the VP nominee, I gave my big speech and I saw my wife and I gave her a big hug and a kiss because I love my wife and I think that's what a normal person does. Tim Walz gave his wife a nice, firm Midwestern handshake and then tried to sort of awkwardly correct for it. So I think that what it is two people, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who aren't comfortable in their own skin because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better.
All right, pause it for 1 second before we get to Dana Bash's response on this.
Which was amazing.
Go back. Listen to what he says, because that's what I think normal people do. It's not because, I love my wife.
My observations of normal people.
We're very convinced. I have been told that's what normal people do. And I behaved like a normal person, as I have just outlined for you.
Credit me for my normalcy.
Go ahead.
But can I just say, the schoolyard bully stuff, the name calling, the vice president from the Trump campaign is complaining that the Democrats are name calling and acting like bullies. Just let that sink in for a
That's
second.
hilarious. All right, good.
Correct for it. So I think that what it is two people, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who aren't comfortable in their own skin because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that.
I said that he acted weird, which he did, on a national stage in front of his wife and in front of millions of Americans who presumably were watching at home. And I think that it's projection, Dana. Look, I think this election should be about who's going to solve the inflation crisis, who's going to make groceries and housing more affordable, who's going to secure that southern border. Kamala Harris's record is that she supported all the policies that made that problem worse, Dana. We're trying to say we're going to take the country in a different direction. I really...
There you go.
Yeah.
A couple other pieces of evidence we should enter into the court here is we should see Trump. The affection Trump has shown to Melania. This was, I'm not sure where this was. There's a bunch of troops behind.
Now, let me just say this. I would imagine it's a fairly uncomfortable situation. For the first time you get in front of a massive crowd and all the spotlight's on you, what do you do with your partner? Do you grab them and make out with them to prove that you're like a normal person?
Yeah, particularly if you're from the Midwest.
Or do you but regardless, who cares? Who is focusing on that? Oh, I remember who it was. It was Donald Trump Jr. Who was free, remember, he was talking a mile a minute and he was like, what's going on there, guys?
Right. I'm not weird. I'm just studying frame by frame your interactions with your wife. And if you gave her the appropriate physical conduct and connection that I have deemed is appropriate for the situation, that's not weird, though.
Now, the thing is I don't know if, and Dana Bash asked the right question. Are you saying that he doesn't love his wife? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that moment was weird, and it was because of their policies. Connecting. It's
I love to hug my wife, but my policies are encumbering me.
But if you wanted to go to something that's weird, now I will have to say, in Donald Trump's defense here, this is not weird. This actually makes a lot of sense. Because we know from the reporting that Melania does not like Donald Trump. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
That's
nice to meet
weird.
You go sit down. Go sit down, little girl.
Yeah.
I think that's weird, Dana. This is what's so great about this strategy. Again, and people should go back to archives from 2019 and see that Kamala Harris had been floating this line of attack of weird since in her primary campaign. And I think Walz is getting a lot of credit, but I think he did it very strategically to deploy what Harris had originally wanted to use against the Trump people, because this is how you disarm the schoolyard bullies, the guys that want to think that they're as cool as possible.
This is incel behavior, and this reminds me of this meme that was going around where guys who were probably never photographed with women themselves would scrutinize men who are photographed with women and draw this green line test and say that the man is weak if he was leaning towards the woman that he's picturing with. That's what JD Vance is doing right now.
Is that the guy in Game of Thrones who literally, the Mountain, who played the strongest person in the entire, in all of Westeros?
She's judging him.
Apparently he's weak. But this is what the...
You've got to put your hand on her head like this.
Yeah. Show dominance.
Put her on your shoulders.
Come on.
Like the right and Republicans, they want to self-conceptualize as the cool guys, the alphas, the people who are always in control, the bullies on the playground. But when you punch back, you disarm them, and then it puts them on the back foot. And I think just like the moralizing from the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Biden campaign, it's appropriate because they are dangerous, but it's not effective anymore because people just get tired of this kind of thing. They want to have fun mocking these people, and when you put them in a corner like this, I just think that you force them to show the worst of themselves, and make yourselves seem like you're the ones in control. You're the cool people, and they're the losers.
Bottom line, people are saying that he's weird, not me. So just want to make that clear.
That's about him.
I just want to say, I've already got my excuses to why I'm going to lose because of JD Vance.
Yeah,
so
that weird guy.
I actually
started calling
I will say this.
I'm the first one.
I will say this: if Donald Trump Jr. planned this whole thing, so that he could take over his dad's business when his dad goes to jail, masterstroke. Touche.
No,
he's not capable of
I'm
such
joking,
maneuvering.
of course. Although
I want to write that script, though.
Yeah, that's the sequel to Succession. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.